sometimes you go to juvenile court. You're setting them up on that path. They don't know how to, what is it called?
For a fight in school, just to make sure, like we're talking about just,
just a regular fight, just a regular fight.
Regular fight in school.
They don't have any de-escalation tactics without, using, there is a way, and I will always fight this. There is a way to de-escalate any situation without being forceful. You can break up a fight and you can stop anybody from being aggressive. Not all situations, but in most situations, you can stop somebody from being aggressive by using a de-escalation tactic. Even if it's just you, even if you're the aggressor, you're like, okay, let me calm myself down. Or right. Or whomever you're getting to with their being aggressive. Okay, let's calm down. Let's find a way to reach a common ground so we can get through this without being taken to that next level. And I think a lot of that has to do with, as far as that's what I experienced, that article. It's a direct reflection, if not setting you up for that prison school pipeline. And I think, just thought a quick fact, I think it was Clayton County in Georgia. They did this project where I think it was the juvenile courts they came up with an agreement with the school system to where they weren't going to take all of those nebulous, like insubordinations, you get suspended for cursing. They weren't going to take all those cases. They were going to set up a system to where they had to put some type of intervention in place in the school system to try to combat that. And from, I want to say 2004 to 2010, they had like a 24% increase in graduation. There are ways. You just got to have those people in place to put those type of interventions in there. And at the rate we're going now, there's no way. I don't foresee it happening. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think the school to prison, like the point you gave is a perfect example. And we didn't even talk about just how schools and prisons look exactly the same. Just instead of class doors, it's essentially like the same, but I always sort of, I guess as I've grown to be an adult, I've realized how often this country criminalizes behaviors that are very, they don't have to be criminal, non-violent offenses get criminalized so much. Petty violence gets criminalized so much. And, the example you gave there, like, man, you get in a fight at school and then you end up in juvie, like that is like
just because nobody taught you how to deal with your anger. So I gotta go sit in I gotta go sit in a shack. I gotta go look at 4 walls for 2 to 3 months because nobody taught me how to deal with my anger. That's what school is.
Yeah.
Let's go to school.
And I think this is why this sort of work is so important and why, there needs to be an intent to give younger Black folks growing up more access to these resources. Because I know, for example, myself, I got put in a program called Duke Coping Power in elementary because I had anger problems because I was blowing up and so forth. And so in retrospect, it was a study and they were collecting data because they were giving me gift cards every time I showed up. So I was definitely like showing up, taking the tests, answering the questions, filling out the surveys, but it's all data collection. And they met with me from elementary through high school. And it was constant, like checking in on like, well, how are you dealing with those problems? Like, because I was really starting in elementaries to get in some trouble that was like, it's not going to be good when this keeps going this way. I needed some course correction, but no tools. And the household didn't even necessarily have the tools. That was one of the other things about the program my mom had to go to. I'm curious, like, I think that program made my mom rethink whooping me. I'll say that. I think I have to ask her that. I wanted to be willing to do this live, but I have to ask her that as a whole other thing. But I'm curious from your professional opinion in terms of like how, a lot of us often get punished with that belt or with that ruler or with whatever the case might be. Like, how do you feel whoopings have an impact on some of these traumatic feelings that, or how people process these traumatic feelings through childhood if they're getting whoopings on a consistent basis?
So people only do what they know. They only do what they're taught. It can definitely impact you as a child. You suppress a lot that way because, let's say, me personally, I stayed getting whoopings when I was a kid, and I have no problem with depending on the circumstance to spare the rod. But I will not whoop my child for any and everything. Some of us in Black homes, we grew up like that. We grew up getting whooped for any and everything. So it is very traumatic. Man, that leads to a whole lot of even adverse experiences down the line, man, because you suppress so much. And again, we're going back to this anger. You're mad. Okay, you may not agree with why you got whooped, or you felt like, I know a lot of times, me personally, when I got whooped, I didn't agree with it. So I was mad at the fact that I got a whoop. So then you're suppressing anger on top of anger that you already had. So then you got to try to find an outlet for the anger, where there's not always an outlet for the anger, which is why I think I went on a stretch from like, I think 6th grade to 8th grade, where I was just getting like suspended for like, again, fighting, doing stupid stuff, just because I didn't have anywhere to put that anger. Mm-hmm. So it definitely impacts you. It definitely plays a role in your behavior and emotional growth as you progress through that developmental stages of life, from a kid to a teen. It definitely plays a role.
It almost feels like, and I don't know what the statistics are, but I think I've heard like 1/3 of Black men go to jail at some point. Like, I don't know if that number is accurate. Like, do you have any data on how many Black men actually end up going to jail, getting caught up in the system?
I don't. I just know that I don't. I just know I was one of those 3%. What you say is true. I knew I was a part of that
3%. And so it's so, I don't want, it's not uncommon for somebody close to you to end up, behind bars for whatever reason. I feel like growing up, especially I guess my experience in Durham, between middle school and high school, there's so many just things that you're doing oftentimes that you should not be doing, that and it's crazy too, because like I've been caught doing crazy stuff and then had grace from the police. And then I've been caught doing the most sillier things and didn't get any grace at all. The odds are rolling the dice because you're gonna do things that inevitably, just because of the environment, put you in position to be criminalized due to the silly laws and how they're enforced.